everyone, how are you all? I hope you are doing great and are ready for the next class that is on the English tenses. So many English learners worry too much about the tenses. What are the tenses in English? How we will learn them? Are they too difficult to memorize? Are they too difficult to learn? What to do? I have no knowledge about the tenses. You need not to worry. It is important to know about the English tenses, but don't get too obsessed with them. Just learn, memorize, practice, because the more you practice, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the more you're confident. Remember? And always, I am giving you a tip, always speak naturally. No matter what your accent is, don't focus on the accent. First learn the basic things. We are here to learn. So let's begin. Do you know some grammarians consider that strictly speaking, there are only 2 English tenses. Some argue that there are 6, while others say there are more. For the sake of simplicity, learners of English as a second or foreign language are usually taught that taking into account aspect and future models, there are 12 tenses in English. So today we will be learning what does the word tense means, what is the definition of tense, how important it is to know about the tenses, what are the different tenses in English, and lastly the tips and techniques to master English tenses. So the first one, what does the word tense mean? In English language, the word tense is used to denote a characteristic of the verb in a sentence. The tense of a verb is used to depict the particular time in which a specific event is taking place. What did I say? The tense of a verb is used to depict the particular time in which specific event is taking place. So this is a tense. And what is the definition of tense? According to the dictionary, tense is defined as any of the form of a verb that may be used to show the time of the action or state expressed by a verb. And what is a verb? We learned it in the previous class on parts of speech. Next is how important it is to know about the tense. You know, tenses are considered to be the backbone and the most fundamental element of the English language. Without tense, everything seems to be absurd. Tenses helps you to describe actions that take place at different times. It helps you to give clarity to your context and the information you are trying to convey. It also allows you to build complex sentence structure. So if you want to be able to convey information clearly and promptly, you should know all the 12 tenses and how they are used. Now comes what are the different tenses in English language. In English grammar, there are 3 main tenses which are further classified into 4 different forms. So that sums up to 12 tenses in totality. The 3 main tenses are past tense, present tense, future tense, and the 4 different forms are simple tense form, continuous tense form, perfect tense form, perfect continuous tense form. So the 12 tenses are simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, present perfect continuous tense, simple past tense, past continuous tense, past perfect tense, past perfect continuous tense, simple future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense, and future perfect continuous tense. You have to look only at the 2 things and you will learn the tenses super quick. And what are those 2 things? The first is the structure and the second is the use. What do you mean by structure? Structure means how do we make the tense. And what do you mean by the use? Use is when and why do we use the tenses. So only 2 things are needed to learn the tenses. The first one is structure, second one is use. Structure is how do we make the tense and use is how do we use it. If you have learned these 2 things, then it is super easy for you to learn the tenses. To get a quick understanding of what the tenses are, we will be learning these tenses with example, because example help us to understand things more easily. Talking about the first, past simple. Past means what we have already done. If in Hindi I would say जो हम कर चुके हैं. Past simple example is I did too. Past continuous is we use continuous word for something that we are doing regularly. Continuous. Past continuous is I was doing. Past is that has happened. I was doing. Then is past perfect, which you have already done. Like example, I had done. Then comes the past perfect continuous, which is the combination of past perfect and the past continuous. It means I had been doing. In Hindi I would say मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, मैं ये कर रहा था. Then comes the present simple. Present is which is today. I do, मैं कर रहा हूँ. Present continuous. Continuous is जो हम करते आ रहे हैं. I am doing. Present perfect is I have done, मैं कर चुका. Present perfect continuous is I have been doing. So the difference is in present perfect continuous we have used I have been doing, whereas in past perfect continuous we used I had been doing. So you noticed in present we use have, whereas we used had in past. Future is that is something yet to happen. Future simple is I will do. I will do, मैं ये करूँगा. Future continuous I will be doing. Where a word continuous is there, you have to use doing. That is in regular part. That is a regular part, a regular process. Then comes future perfect. I will have done. And the last one is future perfect continuous. I will have been doing. So while learning the tenses, we have to keep in mind just two things. The first is the structure and the second is the use. If you have understood what is a structure and what is a use, then you can learn the tenses very quickly. You see, in this class I have been using some parts of speech very quickly. If you have not watched my other video on parts of speech, I have given the link in the description box. You can check it out. This will help you understand the basics first before we move on to the other parts. So on the screen there are 12 verb tenses in English. I have made the columns so it is easy for you to understand. On the left side you can see it is simple, continuous, perfect and perfect continuous, and on the upper it is past, present and future. Now you have to relate each column with the row. For example, first one is past. Past simple, past continuous, past perfect, past perfect continuous. Likewise we have to do it for the present. Present simple, present continuous, present perfect continuous, and same is for future. Future simple, future continuous, future perfect continuous. I hope this chart helps you to understand. So the first example is for the past simple. Past is something that has already happened. The example is for past simple, I studied English yesterday. That is, I have already studied English. I have done this. Move on to the present simple. Present is something that is just today. I study English. And future is that is something yet to happen. Future simple example is I will study English. Then past continuous example is I was studying English. Continuous I said that is in a repeated form. I was studying English. Present continuous is I am studying English. And the future is I will be studying English. You see, I am only using the two things, the structure and the use, and I am making the example. Structure is how do we make the tense, and the use is when and why do we use the tense. Structure is कैसे बनेगा, use is कब और कहाँ लगेगा. जब हमें ये पता चल चुका है कि हमें कैसे टेंस बनाना है, कब और कहाँ यूज होगा, then you have already learned it. Present continuous is I am studying English. Future continuous is I will be studying English. Then comes the past perfect, I had studied English. Present perfect, I have studied English. Future perfect, I will have studied English. Then the last is past perfect continuous, I had been studying English. Present perfect continuous, I have been studying English. I have already told you if it is past perfect continuous, you have to use had been. And if it is present perfect continuous, then it's I have been using. You have to use have been in present perfect continuous, and you have to use I had been if it is past perfect continuous. I hope you know the difference now. And for future perfect continuous, it is I will have been. You have to use the word will. I will have been studying English. I come yesterday. Tomorrow I came. Do you think something is wrong, or you think that both sentences are right? If you feel that it is wrong, then you are completely right and you have understood what I am trying to say. Tenses in English are one of the most important part in English grammar that you should know thoroughly. So lastly, the tips and techniques to master English tenses. To improve your knowledge and usage of tenses, there are just a few things you have to keep in your mind. And what are those? First one, keep a clear mind. Be ready to unlearn and relearn. Understand what tenses are and how they are used. If you're facing difficulty in memorizing, just learn it with examples. Go through as many examples as you can. Practice as much as you can, and you will learn how the tenses actually work out in different contexts. And above all, there is one thing you should add to your to-do list. Read book, anything that is informative and interests you. Watch movies, videos, or even series. Without even your knowledge, you will be able to develop your vocabulary and learn so many different sentence structures that use various tense forms. So there are three main tenses: past, present, future, and then we have four categories under each tense, that is simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. I hope this class helped you, and if you need more examples, I can share it with you. Just comment in the comment box about how you like the video. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel and learn English quick with me. Thank you.